So I guess just to give it a little context too, Bernie, because you've been a longtime real estate investor, but you also have a full-time job, right? So I think one of the big misconceptions that a lot of folks have is, oh, I don't have time to do short-term rentals because it sounds like it's way too much work. And I don't think I could possibly balance, a family, a full-time job, and then running this other business on the side. So can you kind of give a little context on what your day-to-day and how many hours a week you think you're putting into that business to run it?
So to run, let's see. So when it was just my one single house that I owned, I was probably putting anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a week. I was still learning the business. And most of that was, just we were living in a wonderful age of apps. So most of that was on the apps, on the apps of, looking at the cameras, looking at the August lock for the doors, texting back and forth to the guests. And eventually when I got my messages to the guests dialed down, most of the messages are now automated with Smart B&B. So I started that property in August of last year. And literally, I've had to go back to the property 3 times. The rest of it has been just on the app. The 3 times, if that property wasn't my own, I would have just sent a handyman to do the things that I went back there to do. And it was mostly just curiosity to see how people left it and how some work was done. But it's pretty hands-off that I don't have to have that many visits to the week. On the co-host, once I sign up a co-host, and again, I get maybe. Now I'm dialed in, so I get maybe an hour to an hour and a half a week that I'm talking to the potential guests. And I started that property in the end of February, and I have not been back to it since we got it all set up. So that one's done all remotely. That one's almost an hour away from me, so it's not as easy to run up there. But I literally, if I need something done, I just have my cleaners do it, or I have them take pictures and relay me back the information. So it's pretty easy going. Mike, you were asking, how do you juggle it with a full-time job? So I got a couple of things. I know my cleaners are always going to be in there between like noon and 2, right? So in that 2-hour range, I can plan to expect to communicate with them, and that's kind of like around my lunch hour from the regular job and all that. And then most of the guest communication is in the evening. That's when they're coming in. That's where they're checking in. And incidentally, that's when most of them make the reservations, because most people that are traveling, they're making their reservations and they're asking their questions after hours from their job. So I would say 90% of my guest communications is between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock p.m. And all my cleaner communications is between 12 and 2.